Today's video is sponsored by Hardwood Amino. Hardwood Amino is essentially a social network completely dedicated to die-hard NBA fans, and it's one of the fastest growing NBA apps of 2017. The link is in the description for you guys to be able to download the app on iOS or Android. And the best thing about the app, it is completely free. I know everybody loves free things. Once you've downloaded the app, just make an account and you should be taken to the homepage. As we're on the homepage right now, you're able to keep up with everything around the NBA, from guys like Devin Booker dropping 70 points, news and rumors around the NBA, and so much more. Rather than just being able to keep up with the NBA, you'll be a part of an NBA community. If you scroll to the right, you're able to take quizzes, but you can also write blog posts, create polls, or join the public chat and make some friends, chat it up, or even chat with me. Hope to see you guys there. 5 young upcoming teams in the NBA. My name is Joshua Envyerz. The criteria of this video is pretty simple. These teams aren't going to be making the playoffs this year or in the next couple of years, but they're on the rise. Let's get started first with the man who dropped 70 points a few days ago, Devin Booker and the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns will most likely be in the lottery, getting a top 3 to top 5 pick this year, and most likely will be drafting a guy like Josh Jackson, Jason Tatum, or whoever knows who else. But with a young squad together such as Devin Booker, Marquise Chris, and Dragon Bender, along with the second round pickup in Tyler Ulis, this team looks pretty promising for the future, especially with all the comparisons comparing Devin Booker to one of the next best great shooting guards in this league. I'm not so sure about that. We'll just have to wait and see, but you can't knock the game that Devin Booker has. The lingering problems with the Phoenix Suns is that they're not too young, but they're not too old. They have quite a few veterans locked down on multiple year contracts, such as Jared Dudley, Tyson Chandler, and Brandon Knight, who Brandon Knight has just took a complete backseat in the Phoenix Suns rotation. Once they find out what they want to do with those guys, try to keep Eric Bledsoe and Devin Booker and the rest of the young guys together, and not next year or the following year, but this team will make the playoffs eventually if they keep this core together. Let's move on to another team in a similar situation where they're going to be in the lottery this year. They're going to have a top 2 pick most likely, and that team is the Los Angeles Lakers. Unlike the Boston Celtics, this team hasn't been able to build and be a contender just yet. And also, unlike the Boston Celtics, this team is a whole lot younger and has weird contracts in Luol Deng and Timothy Mozgov, who they just signed for cap reasons. But if you're able to look past that, the Lakers have young talent, and when you're tanking and when you're rebuilding in the NBA, you had to have young players to build upon, and they have that. They got guys like D'Angelo Russell, Brandon Ingram, and the rest of the young core of the Lakers. And since they're the Lakers, they're always going to have huge expectations, and fans are going to blow this team out of proportion. But it's crazy to me, at the start of this season, people were saying the Lakers were going to be the 8th seed in the playoffs this year. And 20 games in, it kind of looked like they were going to be the 8th seed in the playoffs this year. But then, come down the line towards the end of the season, they've only won 20 games so far. So, yeah, a big turnaround. And I guess they turned on the tank mode switch and decided, you know what? Yeah, we're not ready for this 8th seed. But hey, not next year. In a couple of years, though, they will be ready for that 8th seed or even higher. Look out for the Los Angeles Lakers, especially if they get a guy like Lonzo Ball. And since we're talking about exceeding expectations, let's talk about the Philadelphia 76ers. Personally, I thought this team was going to be in the lottery once again. Top 5, top 3, around that area. And yes, they are in the lottery this year, but they've actually won 28 games and have more wins than teams like the Lakers, like the Suns, like the Nets, which is a given, like the Magic, and possibly even the Knicks, the next super team with Derrick Rose. This team probably could have almost made the playoffs in the Eastern Conference, if not made the playoffs in the Eastern Conference, if Joel Embiid was healthy, along with Ben Simmons having a good rookie year and not sitting out the entire season. But hey, it's okay. One more year in the lottery isn't going to kill the Philadelphia 76ers. This is actually Sam Hinkie's dream right here, to build upon draft picks and then eventually be a contender. And as of right now, it's kind of looking like that. A lot of their guys, including Dario Saric, who may be Rookie of the Year this season, playing probably some of the fewest amount of minutes since 2000 and 2001's Rookie of the Year. This team's on the rise, and I don't think they're going to be a joke anymore in the NBA. Out of all the teams on this list, I feel like the Philadelphia 76ers have the best shot of making it to the playoffs before the other teams mentioned. Next up, we have the Orlando Magic. This team went through a huge identity crisis, and for the longest time, or the past few years actually, I felt like this team has had no direction. Now, at the end of the season, I feel like the Magic have a little bit more direction than they have had in the past few years. Obviously, with the whole Victor Oladipo trade for Serge Ibaka, and then Serge Ibaka didn't really fit well with this team considering they weren't able to win games. They traded Serge Ibaka for Terrence Ross. So you're telling me Victor Oladipo on the 11th pick in the draft, a bonus, is worth Terrence Ross? I guess we'll have to wait and find out if Terrence Ross is able to fit with the Magic. Personally, they got guys like Evan Fournier and Mario Hezonja, so I don't know what's next for the Orlando Magic, but on the plus side, they do have guys like Aaron Gordon and Elfrid Payton to lead them. And if they trade one of these dudes, then once again, we're taking a step back and saying, what are the Magic doing? Because they can't keep trading their young assets for guys like Serge Ibaka and then trade them away. I don't know. This team's very flip-floppy with me. It could be an upcoming team in the next 2-3 years. It'll be making a playoff push, or it could still be at the bottom because what the management has done in the past few years. But if we're able to look past all the questionable decisions the Magic has made, hopefully Elfrid Payton is able to continue doing what he's doing, and those triple doubles are going to become wins instead of losses next season. Lastly, the next team up is the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I know I said earlier, the Sixers have the best shot out of all of these teams on this list to make the playoffs first. That may be true, but at the same time, the Timberwolves might have just as good of a shot to do that. But then again, they are in the Western Conference. The Western Conference always seems a little bit more tougher than the East. And it looks to be slowly shifting where the East is actually gaining some momentum and the Western Conference is actually losing some. But with the core such as Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins and Zach LaVine coming back from injury next season, this team's going to be fun to watch, especially with another pick in the lottery this year to go with guys like Chris Dunn as well. Now, kind of like the Phoenix Suns, this team has to figure out what's the next step for Nikola Pekovic. He said his ankles are like glass. Every time he walks, it hurts. Is he done from the NBA, along with trying to find a place and a home for Ricky Rubio, who just doesn't seem to fit that young culture that is in Minnesota? This team has a shot at making the playoffs next year, but I won't bet any money on that, considering a lot of people said they'd be making the playoffs this year as a 6th to 8th seed, which was a crazy bold prediction to even do. This team's going to be scary in a few years, and you might want to hop on the Minnesota Timberwolves bandwagon as soon as possible if Karl Anthony Towns continues to play the way he has, and if Andrew Wiggins is able to elevate his game to the next level as well. With that said, these are 5 upcoming teams within the NBA. I didn't add the Milwaukee Bucks, the Washington Wizards, because those teams are already in the playoffs. I feel like from this point onwards, those teams are going to be a threat until they start to decline. So be sure to leave a like on this video if you did enjoy, share it on any social media, and be sure to check out some of the other videos on screen right now. I'll talk to you guys later.